We're closing out our Wednesday editions for December and also for 2021. We had many pulls and pushes for the year, but I sure do enjoy informing and educating you through this platform. And here's the good part, our time together continues. So let's push forward with today's show offerings of the island's public gardens and efforts to keep outside clean. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Theodore Henry, and I have much to share. We kick things off with the news.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, December 29. 390 farmers operating in Little Park, St. Elizabeth are now benefiting from a newly commissioned solar-powered pump station worth $53.14 million. The Little Park F3 pump station project by the National Irrigation Commission (NIC) was commissioned into service recently. 500 hectares of farmlands are to benefit from the project, which is also expected to reduce the station's energy bill.
Little Park is the NIC's single largest energy user and operates for 20 hours each day. The installation is a 200 kilowatt grid-tied solar system, which allows the Little Park pump station to self-generate 37% of the energy requirement for the pump facility. With this upgrade, the NIC's annual bill from the Jamaica Public Service Company is projected to be reduced by 20% or some 9 million Jamaican dollars.
The installation of the solar pumping system is phase one of a three-part upgrade that will see the total capacity of the pump station increasing to 350 kilowatts, thus further reducing operational costs. It also complements the NIC's installation of solar pump systems at Bengal in Trelawney and Ebony Park in Clarendon. Residents in and around Beltier in St. Anne are now finding it easier to breathe thanks to the installation of an $800,000 water reservoir. The pond has been retrofitted with a submersible pump, making it easier to distribute water to dampen the earth, thereby preventing the dust buildup from the Noranda bauxite plant nearby.
The commissioning of this rainwater harvesting facility that holds approximately 17 million gallons of water to be able to provide water to wet the roads so that we can keep down the dust nuisance, so that persons in the surrounding communities who have been complaining for years will now have a chance of having less dust.
Mining Minister Robert Montague was speaking last Tuesday at the official opening of the Beltier Water Reservoir in St. Anne. Minister Montague says the facility will cost Noranda less by eliminating the process of trucking water from Discovery Bay to wet the roads. Still in St. Anne, 400 titles are being prepared for handover to persons who have been relocated due to the Noranda bauxite operations in the parish. Mining Minister Robert Montague made the disclosure recently as he handed over 5 of 25 land titles that have been prepared for Brownstown residents. Minister Montague says the titles represent a new thrust in how the ministry is dealing with titles for Jamaicans in the bauxite industry.
Today, as we hand out these titles, I know it is going to make a difference not only in the lives of those who get the titles, but it's going to make a generational difference. It is going to affect how your family acquire wealth going forward, because this is the beginning of building a dynasty. So what Noranda has done here in this partnership is to begin to build generational wealth.
In other news, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has welcomed Sandals International Resort's $240 million investment in local tourism projects. The Sandals Group has committed to build a new property to replace the demolished Jewel Runaway Bay. They will also complete phase one of Sandals Royal Duns River and expand Beaches Negril in their 2021-2022 plans. And the latest commitment was realized recently with the opening of the 84-room Sandals Royal Caribbean in Montego Bay. Minister Bartlett says the investment is proof of the hotel chain's belief in brand Jamaica and the future of the tourism sector.
It's happening during a pandemic. It's happening when we are managing uncertainties at a level we never managed before. And it is happening also at a time when many areas of the world are conscious of their own inability to do things, while Jamaica is expressing its ability to do things. And I think that's a huge and powerful position for us to be in as a small nation.
And finally, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, has commended healthcare professionals who have been working on the front line of the national COVID-19 response program.
I just wanted to single out members of the medical profession for this morning, the Nurses Association of Jamaica, the Medical Doctors Association, the Midwives Association of Jamaica, for the amazing response to the pandemic that you and your members have undertaken this year.
Minister Clark was speaking at the latest heads of agreement signing with the unions and bargaining units representing nurses and midwives in the public sector. Dr. Clark said Jamaica's health system has experienced an unprecedented crisis sparked by the pandemic, which also triggered significant economic fallout. He pointed out that amidst the challenges in public health, there was no work-from-home option for nurses, doctors, and midwives.
It came at a time when many of us who were thankfully not ill were at home. And you had to be out in your uniforms, as the case may be, tending to the sick and to the infirm. And on behalf of a grateful nation, we say thank you.
Nurses throughout the period have had to be at the forefront. And even when others were able to relax a little bit, the nursing fraternity, and I speak for the midwives also, we have still had to stand and be there.
We had to find ways of taking the service to our women who were in lockdown communities.
And that's it for JI's News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Jamaica's COVID-19 vaccination plan is still in effect. If you wish to make an appointment, please do so online by visiting moh.gov.jm or by calling 888-663-5683. Vaccination still a keep. Go get your jab today.
Our first bit of information and exploration for today's show comes from the depths and boundaries of the Syncona and Hope Gardens. You may be surprised to find that their offerings provide so much more than our usual expectations.
They offer a large serving of nature with a dash of history and science. Public gardens, created and maintained to educate Jamaicans on the importance of plant life. They also provide free green spaces to enjoy the benefits of the great outdoors. There are 4 such spaces on the island, all supported by the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. And after making our way through Bath and trekking through Castleton in the first part of our journey,
we're now 4,800 feet above sea level. The Syncona Botanical Gardens, located in the cool, moist hills of East Rural St. Andrew.
Syncona was first established in 1868 by the then Governor Sir John Peter Grant. At that time, the gardens was used as an experimental location. Various plants from other European countries were brought here for medicinal purposes, like the eucalyptus, the camphor, and other herbs are grown up here.
Cinchona is unique as it is the only garden in the Caribbean at such a high elevation.
Cinchona got its name at the time when there was a malaria infestation on the island, and that cinchona plant was brought to Jamaica by a governor of Peru. The cinchona plant was used to cure the malaria by way of extracting the bark of the plant and transforming that into quinine. And they used that to work on the malaria.
There are no conservation programs at Cinchona, but if you're feeling adventurous, make the hike and study an array of exotic plants on location, including the almost 200-year-old hoop pine. Our journey ends at the largest green space in the Kingston metropolitan area. Though run by the non-governmental organization Nature Preservation Foundation, it still receives a subsidy from the government and is free to the public.
Hope Gardens comprises of 260 acres stretching from Old Hope Road to Skyline Drive, but the actual gardens is mainly 60 active acres. The garden was a gift to Major Richard Hope, who was part of the contingency of Pennant Venables who came to conquer the island in about 1655 when the English invaded and took over from the Spanish.
Hope was an experimental site. They introduced exotic plants here and replanted them on the island once successfully propagated. Offspring of these plants remain in the garden.
We have the cannonball tree, which is native to the Amazon rainforest, that bears a fruit that takes 18 months to ripe, and it also weighs about 15 pounds. We also have the sausage tree, and that fruit can weigh anywhere between 15 to 27 pounds, and it really does look like a huge German sausage. The tree is native to West Africa, in Senegal.
Hope is vital in the conservation of the island's wildlife and flora.
We have a particular project in which we go to the Cockpit country and get endemic plants, take them back to Hope Gardens, grow them and reintroduce them into the wild. The zoo also has a world-famous iguana project in which they have rediscovered the local Jamaican iguana, bred them successfully in captivity, and have introduced over 400 native iguanas into the hills of Hellshire.
This garden is usually bustling with activities. Family gatherings, professional photography, and school excursions are among the popular happenings.
The Chinese Garden is also a special place within the Hope Gardens. It was a gift, a $3 million gift from the People's Republic of China to the people and government of Jamaica.
I like about Hope Gardens is that you are free. You can do anything you want. You can paint, you can play, you can go to the zoo, like see the animals.
My group came here because we have a history group project. We thought that coming to the Hope Gardens would be a good idea, especially on a Sunday, because on a Sunday it's quiet and I think it's very conducive to practice. There's greenery and it's an open space. So, you know, you get a nice fresh breath of air while you're here, and it's, I think it helps you to focus more on what you need to do.
Hope Gardens is a getaway for persons wanting a break from the hustle and bustle of city life. A visit to public gardens provides this opportunity. Nature beckons. What are you waiting for?
Our Cockpit country also offers a burst of history, natural resources and wildlife, much of which we may never find below. So safeguarding this gem is our government's priority, as much as it should be ours. Here's what government is doing.
The Cockpit country, an environmental, cultural and historical asset which the people and the government of Jamaica value greatly.
The Cockpit country is the country's largest water bank, the largest store of Jamaica's underground water, and it feeds many rivers. In seeking to protect the Cockpit country, we examined the areas that have the feature of the Cockpit, and then we looked at areas that depend on it, such as the forests. And we looked as well as the biodiversity that lives on it, the animals and the plants that live in that forest. And we protected that as well. And then we examined the issue of hydrology, meaning the water that is related to that area flows into the area and flows out of the area, the sinkholes and the various caves and crevices through which water enters and seeps underground, and we protected those as well.
That protection was necessary because the Cockpit country has been under threat from human activity. Destructive farming techniques, improper garbage disposal, and overgrazing by animals are but a few of the actions that have negatively impacted this area. Thankfully, the government has stepped in by way of a protective boundary around the area. The Forestry Department is undertaking a ground truthing mission to align these boundaries on the proposed map with the actual landmarks. Ground truthing is taking place over 76,000 hectares of land across the mountainous regions of 5 parishes in the area designated as the protected Cockpit country. The process, which started in 2018, is expected to be completed in 2020.
That boundary will be enshrined in law, and within that boundary, there will be no mining. And within that boundary as well, certain agricultural practices will be banned, such as slash and burn, the use of dangerous chemicals. And it will be a regulated space to protect that water bank of Jamaica and to protect the forests that grows in the Cockpit country and to generally protect that area as a national ecological park for Jamaica.
Consideration is also being given to the historic significance that the Cockpit country bears to all Jamaicans, especially the Maroons.
There are areas around the Cockpit country that are thought to be part of what is culturally considered the Cockpit country. The Cockpit country was where the Maroons lived, and it is where the British could not go. It is where the British were defeated in battle and had to see the Cockpit country and walk around it, creating what is historically called a ring road around the Cockpit country. And in fact, the Maroons were able, one of the probably only peoples who have defeated the British within this area and had a peace treaty. They were literally an independent state within Jamaica during the time of slavery.
This is our legacy, a section of Jamaica that spans across 2 parishes, Trelawney and St. Elizabeth. The government of Jamaica will be continuing their fight to protect one of our greatest assets.
And I want it to be absolutely clear to the Jamaican citizens that this government is the government of the environment. So we are not the government that will trade off economic benefit for environmental costs. That is not this government. So yes, we hear the complaints. Yes, we hear all that is happening on social media and what is being said. But I want to reassure the Jamaican people that this government will be responsible with our environment.
The Disabilities Act will protect the rights of all persons with disabilities. And here's a great teaching moment. Every person with a disability, like a deaf or hard of hearing child, for example, has the right to an education with accessible facilities and the support they need. In this case, it would be a teacher who can use the language of the deaf, which is sign language. Visit jcpdja.com. A message from the JCPD, an agency of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
Safeguarding our natural gems is just part of government's big plan. The state is also focused on keeping our environment clean through the efforts of the National Solid Waste Management Authority. Here's much of what they do even while the lights go out.
Once upon a time, in a land far away from a fairy tale, were a people who lived the way you and I do, but a little differently. Much like the shoemaker and the elves, these street fairies don't leave beautiful pairs of shoes behind, but their art shares some similarities, and it's nonetheless worthy of recognition.
Good night, Dana Anderson, shovel user, shovel and jump, clean up Jamaica.
I'm working in the company 8 years now. I like the job, keep the place tidy and clean.
They always say to me, say, this is not a woman's work, but a woman has to do what a woman has to do, eh? You have to work for yours, eh? Nobody ain't gonna give you nothing, so you have to work for it.
Yeah, enough of the woman they work hard and plenty of the man them. I get used to my work still, so I feel not different from the man them. At the end of the day, I will bread where I work for. So any work for woman. Woman the man work nowadays.
I'm all right with my work. Yeah, I can provide for myself, my nephew, my niece, my child. She don't really like me day out here, she rather me dead with she, but I have to make ends meet. I have to work, I have to pay my bills them. But they don't give me nothing, I have to work my own. But people that see me and want to style me and this, because I try to chuck work me do and them things there. But I don't really watch my face. Because I know, say, when my money enough, you see me?
I want to burn fire upon this whole foolishness that people talk from time to time about. If they don't litter, people don't get work.
Yeah, that's what them say some my time. But them can do better still. Plenty of them can do better still.
Enough of them like we, enough don't like we, because sometimes we have to do there with all the truck like all that, so now them not say, we move from there, say we don't thinking truck and them things, but we don't care about that. That's our work. When you litter, you waste the resource of your country. You make life more difficult for yourself and your fellow men. And you destroy the aesthetic, the beauty of our country that we boast about so much.
We are cleaning up Jamaica. And without cleaning up not Jamaica, wiper, disease and germs are broke out. So everybody who work with solid waste, important people them. All are important.
Differently from the sweeper them, we don't like the garbage bag up and we go through it more easier for it. More time we come out and have to wait on the sweeper them like on the just seat right now. We have to wait till the street sweep up, but if it's bag up, it's more easier for it. Just the fact that you are generating solid waste, I ask you to just take some time to package it properly so that it gives us more ease of cleaning. And it also helps the side women. They are human beings too. Their job is already very difficult. Don't make it more difficult for them by giving them extra work to do. It is very tough on them the job is difficult. You know, it's not just about lifting things put in a truck, but some of the things they encounter out here. Bags with human feces, that's common occurrence, especially in the market district. The smell of urine is everywhere, and it's in the solid waste that they're picking up. All sort of meat cuttings, fish bone, fish back, fish gut, just about anything that people don't want, and they have to pick it up. They have to face it. A certain time at the night, when we reach certain hours at the night, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, gunman can strike and we have to run left the garbage some of the time and all them things there. And come back around and take it up, see, because we cannot leave it. See me, we cannot leave it. And we don't like them keep Jamaica beauty and clean.
Well, I stay out of them way, and I'm not really go for them though. I still think them happen, I just stay by myself, each time I look a corner.
And yet, despite the tough nature of the job, these people show up not just for work, but they show up and work.
We're backbone of the company, you know. Who clean the rubbish and my backbone, we're the most important people in the company. How we clean up the work, enough mess and good rubbish, bad rubbish, all different kind of rubbish.
I believe deep in my heart that if you talk about heroes and heroines, our sidemen and sidewomen are right up there with any because of the human service that they provide and in very tough circumstances to keep Jamaica clean. Day after day, night after night, they are out and about, they roll up the sleeve, and notwithstanding all that they have to face, their head is down and they are going relentlessly in pursuit of that clean Jamaica. I laud them. I lift my hat to them. They are good people. I just hope that more and more people will see them for who they are. People who are there to safeguard the health of the nation. They are the NSWMA. Without them, we are nothing.
Yeah, I love my work. I love it. I love clean the shovel.
I read news and I tell
And as sunbeams break the night sky and the stars and moon bid their goodbye, the city smiles.
In today's Hear This, we continue the conversation of how government is helping to safeguard our nation and ultimately lives and livelihood. It's all part of making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Here are some of the areas we're seeing government intervention at play. Number 1, national security. Areas that are being impacted by crime and violence are receiving intervention through the government's Zones of Special Operations, ZOSOs. By all indications, the presence and the support of law enforcement officers in these communities is making a difference. Number 2, economic and social protection. That's right, fiscal stability and growth is being pursued, but on a human level. Jamaicans are getting help to cushion the impact of the pandemic. An additional $5 billion was just announced for expanding the reach of the care element of the Serve Jamaica program during the months of November and December. Thousands on PATH and the Social Pension Program are also receiving a one-off $10,000 grant this month. Number 3, digital technology. We've seen the many donations of tablets and other digital devices to students right across the island. Government has also designed and is moving forward with a national broadband initiative, which aims to have every household and every community connected to the internet. As we end today's show, remember that your actions to help safeguard our nation, in whatever way you can, is just as important as what our government is doing for all of us. We shared a lot today, but if there was a detail that you missed, no worries. Catch the full recap on our YouTube channel, and while you're at it, visit our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more information. From all of us here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. See you real soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.